Hello everyone, welcome to Val Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. In this video, I'll be showing us how to make this beautiful blouse with structured flounce. This is what I'm referring to as our structured flounce. And you see how beautiful it's sitting right here on the neckline area up to the shoulder. And we also have this going round all the way to the back. So in this video, I'm going to be showing us in details from drafting to cutting and to sewing this blouse and how you can achieve this structure we have on this blouse. If this is something you're interested in learning, make sure to keep on watching till the end. And if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe and ensure you put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so these are the materials we're going to be using for this project, and this is a lace fabric, it's a sequence lace fabric. And then this is our hairstay that we'll be using to stabilize our fabric. This is black hairstay. And then I have my doll face satin that we'll be using to line it. This is our wadding, which is also known as breast pad. I'm using to pad up the bust area. And then this is gum stay. This is the hard gum stay. I'll be using it to create the structure we'll have on the blouse. And then here I have my boning, which will also help in creating the structure that we're going to have on the blouse. So right now the measurements needed for this project will appear on your screen. Okay, so we'll be drafting directly on our fabric, and I've folded the amount of fabric we'll be using to draft. I'll be drafting the front piece first. Okay, so here I folded my fabric using the biggest measurement to determine the amount of fabric to fold. And here I have about 17.5 inches. I used the biggest measurement, which is the hip measurement, and the hip measurement of my client is 50 inches. So 50 divided by 4 is 12.5. I added about 5 inches to that measurement to take care of all my dart intake. So that's why I have 17.5 here. So now, having said that, here is the shoulder line. The first line I have here is the shoulder line. The second is the chest line. So let's label it CL. Then this is the bust line. Is the under bust line. This one is the waistline, which is the fourth, and then the last is the top length, the blouse length, which is the hip line. So this is the blouse length. So in this case, I didn't add hemming allowance. This is because I'm working with a lace fabric. I'll be using the scallop part of the lace will end the blouse. So there's no need to add hemming allowance in this case. So I use the actual top length so that when we fold, we have the scallop part of our lace coming down. So now the first thing I'm going to do now is to enter half of the shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 8 inches. I'll add half inch to that measurement. So that's 8.5. And then I'm going to mark the neck width. The neck width I'm working with is 4 inches. I'll mark 4 inches here. So here at the shoulder measurement, I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slant. 1.5 inches for the front shoulder slant. And then I'll connect it to the neck width. So here now I have the shoulder slant. So I'll come down to the chest line and enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch, which is 8.5. And then I'll connect it to the shoulder slant like this. So here now we have the armhole measurement. So to create the armhole curve, I'm going to place my tape from this point, that's from the chest line. I'll go up by 3 inches. And then at this 3 inches mark, I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch. This is for the front armhole curve. I'll connect it back to this point. And then I'll curve it. So to curve it, I'm going to enter the bust measurement here. So the bust measurement divided by 4 is 10 1/4. So I'll mark 10 1/4, and then I'll curve the armhole to meet the bust measurement on the chest line. So this is our front armhole. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to enter the nipple to nipple measurement. And the nipple to nipple of my client is 8 inches. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. I'll add half inch to that measurement for stitching them together. So I'll mark on 4.5. I'll mark it all the way down to the hip line. And then I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect the points. So having done this, the next thing I'm going to do now is to enter our horizontal measurements before we determine our dart intake. And the first measurement I'll be entering is the bust measurement. The bust divided by 4 is 10 1/4. So I'll mark 10 1/4 here. So the bust measurement divided by 4 is 10 1/4. So 10 1/4 now. So the next thing we're going to do is to tighten the under bust. So to tighten the under bust, we're going to be using the difference between the bust measurement and the under bust measurement. Okay, so this is it. The under bust of my client is 35 inches. So 35 divided by 4, that will give us 8.75, which is 8 3/4. So let's keep that aside. And here we have the bust measurement. The bust is 41 inches. So divided by 4, that's 10.25, which is 10 1/4. So I'm going to subtract the under bust measurement from this bust measurement, which is now 10.25 minus 8.75. And see that that gave me 1.5. So I'll be using this 1.5 to tighten the under bust all the way down to the hip line. So we have 1.5 to work with for our tightening. So at this side, which is the center, you can see that this is our nipple to nipple line. So this is our center piece and this is the side piece. So at this side, which is the center, I'm going to mark half inch on this side. I'll mark half inch on the waistline, and I'll also bring the same half inch down to the full length of the top. So now at this side, I'm going to mark the remaining 1 inch that we have. So I'll mark 1 inch here, I'll mark 1 inch here as well, and then I'll bring it down to the hem here. So I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect the points. Down from this point, I'll be coming down from this point by a half inch. That's from the bust point now. I'll come down by a half inch. This is to avoid any pointiness. So I'm just going to place my curve this way. You want to be very careful. Just make sure that you are placing it correctly until you get the shape. So here, I'm connecting it this way now. You see? And then I'm going to connect here also. You see? So now we have tightened the under bust. So this is a princess armhole bustier. It's going to come towards the armhole. So now, or it will be coming to the armhole side. So I'll get the measurement of the armhole. That's from the shoulder slant all the way to this point, all the way to the chest line. And then I'll fold my tape into two to get the midpoint. So this is our midpoint. So at this midpoint, I will come down by half inch. You see, this is the midpoint. I came down by half inch. So here on the bust point line, I will go up by half inch. Remember, I came down by half inch when I was tightening the under bust. So to tighten the armhole, I'll also go up by half inch. So having gone up by half inch, I'm going to use my armhole curve also, and then I'll connect it to this mark I have here. So you want to place your curve correctly. So now that I've done this, I'm also going to mark from this half inch mark I came down, I'll connect it to the bust point here also. Okay, so you can see that this is our armhole tightening. We'll be cutting out this, and this will help to avoid any form of gaping. So this 1/2 inch that I used for the armhole dart, I'm going to replace it back here. So I'll come here to the side, I'll add back that 1/2 inch. Okay, so now that this is done, the next thing I'm going to do is to extend this line. So this is the line I'm going to pick now. And see, we'll be cutting out this. So this is now our side piece. So to extend the line, just work with what you have here, which is the dart intake on the underbust area. So I'm going to be working with that, which is 1.5. So I'm extending this line by 1.5. So I'll show us how to curve it when we have entered all our measurements. So now I'll go ahead and enter all my horizontal measurements. So the bust divided by 4 is 10 1/4, which is 10.25. I'll add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. And then I also need 1/2 inch to join this side and this side. So that's a total of 1 inch. I need 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. So that's a total of 1 inch. I'll replace back that 1 inch. So here on the underbust divided by 4 is 8.75. So I'll mark 8.75 here. And then the dart intake I have here is 1.5 inches. I'll replace it back. After replacing it back, I'm going to add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. So remember that I need 1/2 inch to join the center piece and the side piece as well, so which is 1 inch. So I'll enter back that 1 inch. So here the waist measurement is the same thing as the underbust measurement. So that's the same 35 inches. So I'll just measure everything I have here and bring it down to the waistline. So here on the hip line, the hip measurement of my client is 50. 50 divided by 4 is 12.5. So I'll mark on 12.5. And then I'm going to measure the dart intake I have here, which is 1.5. I'll replace it back. And then I'll add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. I'll also replace back the 1 inch I'll be using to join them together. So this is it here. So we'll go ahead now and connect the points. So here on the chest line, I'm going to enter the same measurement. Just like I added 3 inches to all the parts, I'll place my tape and mark that 3 inches. So you can see, I'll just connect it like this. So this is what our side piece looks like. So now this 1.5 inches extension I have here, I'm just going to curve it like this and then end at the chest line. So that by the time we are done joining our pieces, we can now reshape the armhole. This is because if we leave this side piece exactly here, it's going to be quite shorter than this. Now this is to confirm what I'm saying. Let's take the measurement we have here at the center. Up to this point, can you see this is where the armhole stops? I have 20.25, that's 20 1/4. So now let's measure this side. And you see that here I have, this is where it ends here. So here I have 19.5. So there's going to be a shortage, which is a difference of 3/4 inch already. Okay, so it is always better to use your dart intake to extend it. So when you are done, you trim out your excess. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the neck depth. We already have the neck width of 4 inches. The neck depth I'll be using is 6 inches. So I'm going to mark 6 inches here. And then I'll bring in my curve and then connect the neckline like this. Okay, so this is what our front neckline looks like. So right now I'll bring in my scissors so that we can cut out our pattern. Okay, so you see This is what it looks like. So you see, so this is what bustier. So you want to notch the bust point, notch the bust point and the under bust point so that you don't miss those points. When you are stitching, you must stitch those points to align. So I also notch the under bust point. So now we'll go ahead and draft our back. So here I've cut out the fabric we'll be using for the back, and I've gone ahead to mark my point. Take note that first my fabric is on fold. The first thing I did after marking and folding my fabric, I went ahead to mark the zip allowance of 1.5 inches. And then I drew this line here. Then this first line is the shoulder line. The second is the chest line. The third is the waistline. This is the back waistline, the back half length. And remember I said that the front half length of my client is 17 inches, which is the waistline. But for the back half length is 15.5 inches. And then next is the full length of the blouse, which is 25 inches. So this front length of the blouse is 25 inches and the back length of the blouse is also 25 inches because this blouse is getting to the fullest part of the hip. So the difference between the front and back, which is that 1.5, the hip, because the hip protrudes also, so it took care of that difference. So in front I have a length of 25 inches and at the back I also have a length of 25 inches. This is because the blouse is getting to the fullest part of the hip. Please take note of that. Okay, so having done that, now from this line, which is the center back line, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch for joining the sleeve. So that's 8.5. I'll come down by 1 inch for the back shoulder slant. For the back shoulder slant, I'm coming down by 1 inch. For the front, I came down by 1.5. So here on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the neck width of same 4 inches, and then I'm going to connect like this to the neck width. Here on the chest line, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half, so which is 8.5. Now also connect with a straight line to the shoulder line, and here now we have our armhole line. On the chest line, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4. Bust divided by 4 is 10 and quarter, that's 10.25. I'll mark it here, and then I'll enter my sewing allowance of 2 inches. On the waistline, the waist divided by 4 is 8.75, which is 8 and 3 quarter. So plus 2 inches for my sewing allowance, and then 1 inch for that. On the hip line, the hip measurement divided by 4 is 12.5 plus 2 inches. So this is it. So I'll go ahead and connect the points. So you want to blend up any sharp points you have. So now we want to create the front back armhole. So I'll get the midpoint of the armhole. So here is the midpoint. I'll go in by half of an inch, and then I'll connect it to the shoulder tip, and then I'll curve the armhole to meet the bust measurement here. So this is our back armhole, really simple. So now we want to do our back tightening to avoid any zipper bulge at the back. So this is a waistline. On the waistline here is my zip allowance of 1.5 inches. In this case, I'll be coming in by 3/4 of an inch. This is because this woman has a big butt and her waist is quite small. You can see that the waist is 35 inches and the hip is 50 inches. So it will have a way of making the zipper bulge more if you don't take care of that difference. So instead of the regular half inch I usually remove for average people, I'm taking away 3/4 inch here now. So I'm marking 3/4 inch, And then I'm going to slant this 3/4 inch all the way to the neckline or to the shoulder line. And then to the hip line here, I will go up by 1 inch and then slant the 3/4 inch all the way to 1 inch above the hip line. So this is it. So we'll be cutting out this part to eliminate any form of zipper bulge at the back of this outfit. So now for the back neck depth, I'm going to be using a neck depth of 6.5 inches. She said she wants the neckline to be deep at the back. Not so deep. I'm using 6.5 inches here. I'm going to connect it like this. So here. So this is what our neckline looks like. All right, so this is what we have. So this is what we have for our back. So we can go ahead and cut out the back piece. So I forgot to draw my darts. So let's draw the darts before we continue cutting it out. So from the center back here, I'm going to enter the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. And the nipple to nipple of my client is 8 inches divided by 2, that's 4. So I'll mark 4 inches here. I'll mark it also on the chest line, and then I'll mark on the hip line too. So I'll use my straight ruler to connect the points. And then here on the waistline, I'm going to mark half inch on this side and half inch on this side. Remember, I added 1 inch for my dart, so that's that half inch I'm marking on both sides. So on the chest line, I'll come down by half inch. And then on the hip line, which is the fullest part of the hip, I'll go up by 2 inches. And then I'll connect it like this. So you can see our dart. This is our back waist dart. So this is it. So this is our dart here, okay? So now I'll go ahead and continue with my cutting. Now, so I'm going to place this on my lace fabric and cut out the lace. For this part, I'm not going to be curving the hem here. This is because we are working with lace and we're going to have the scallop part of our lace ending the blouse. So it's at the end of the blouse that we're going to create that curved shape so that we don't have any pointiness at the down part of our lace. So I'll place this on my lace and cut it out and then show us the next thing to do. Okay, so I'm going ahead to cut out the lace fabric. Remember we drafted on our satin, so this is the satin. I ironed hasty to the wrong side of the satin to give it stability. And then I've gone ahead to hem the down part with half inch. That's 1 inch in total. So for all the 3 pieces, for all my 3 front pieces, I hemmed the down part. And this is our lace fabric. You can see that the lace, after hemming the down part, you can see how it's extending here. This is the scallop part of our lace. So this is our center front also. This is center front, and this is the side front. This is our side front. So I also went ahead to cut the lining because we are working with lace, so you have to have double lining. This satin is laminating the lace just to cover up the lace, and this is the second lining. As you can see, I have padded the lining when working with lace, because lace does not need too much heat. You know, when we are ironing our bustier, we need enough heat for it to relax well. So lace does not need too much heat. Most times when I'm making a bustier with lace, I pad on the lace directly. So you can see I've ironed the seam lines of the lace open, and I used paper stay to keep the bust area open. This is what it looks like on the wrong side, and this is what it looks like on the inside. And this is how I'm going to be placing it. Can you see how I pushed it out? This is how it will sit. So this is the lining side. So let's keep this aside so that I can show us how I'll be placing my lace on the satin. So here I have this black hemming gum. So I'm just going to cut a few pieces. So I need to place it this way. You can either stitch it or you use your hemming gum to place it. This totally depends on your preference. So I'm just going to cut a few and then iron now and press it down. So because my hemming gum is black, of course it will not show on the right side of the fabric. So one thing you must take note of is the difference. Can you see where the satin stopped? You want to make sure to take note of the difference that you have here, because whatever it is that is the difference you have here, that's the difference in the length between the satin and the lace. It must be the difference between the lace and the satin on this side so that everything aligns well. So I'm going to press right now. Here I have 2 inches. I already took my measurement. So I'm done ironing our pieces. So you can see I've laminated it and everything is sitting all beautiful and nice. So these are the 3 front pieces. I repeated the same thing for the back as well. I ironed the lace to the satin so you can see it's not ripping off. And I also hem the down part. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'll take this to my sewing machine and place it right side of the lace, that's the side piece, facing right side of the center piece, and I'll stitch on 1/2 inch. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. And then for the lining, that's for the back piece, I'm going to use the lining to turn the neckline and the center back, and here also I'll come back and show us the next thing to do. I'm done joining the lace, the bustier. You can see this is what I have, and I've also gone ahead to press the seam lines open. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to sew the lining to the lace fabric, and you can see I stitched the neckline and I went ahead to notch it. So you can see I created my notches, and I also stitched the side because I'm doing French finishing. So now it's time for us to turn it inside out. So this is what we have after ironing the neckline. I placed hemming gum in between the lining and the fabric and the neckline so that it can seal up the neckline area. And the sides also, I went ahead to give it a very nice press. You can see everything is coming out well. So this is me placing the back piece over the front piece just to mark where the armhole should stop. So once I indicate that point, I'll bring in my armhole curve and recurve the armhole. Remember that the front armhole, we extended it out by our dart intake. So right now it's time for us to reshape the armhole. So can you see? Going ahead to reshape the armhole. I'll trim out the excess that I don't need. I'll fold it into two and then also trim out the other side. So you can see that the armhole is now gone back to the normal armhole it should be. So please make sure you don't forget to trim the armhole. If you don't trim it, it's going to be bulky around the armpit area. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm trimming the other side as well. So once I'm done trimming the other side, I'll go ahead and join the shoulders together, and then also go ahead and fix my basic sleeve. It's just a basic sleeve. And then the next thing I'm going to show us how to do is to create the structured flounce we're going to have on this blouse. Okay, so it's time for us to cut the flounce. And to cut the flounce, I'll be working with a radius of 3 inches for the flounce. And then the length of the flounce, including my sewing allowance, is going to be 5 inches. 5 inches plus 3 inches, so that's a total of 8 inches. So right now I'm going to fold over 8 inches. So you want to confirm and make sure that you have up to 8 inches. So I have up to 8 inches here. So next I'm going to measure 8 inches also this way, and then fold it over. Okay, so I have up to the length of 8 inches. So right now I'll go ahead and measure 3 inches. From the folded part here, you can see where all 4 points meet here. I'll measure 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches. So this is 3 inches. And then next I'm going to measure the length of the flounce, which is 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches. So this is my 5 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut out the flounce. And then so this is what our flounce looks like. Can you see? So I'm going to pick one of the sides here and then slash it open. So having slashed it open, this is what I'll be working with. So for one side, you can see I have two sides now. So for one side here, I'm going to mark half of it, which is 2.5 inches. So I'll mark 2.5 inches, and then I'll just come here to the midpoint and create a curve. I'll create a curve like this to meet this 2.5 inches mark I have here. And then I'm just going to give it a nice curved shape like this. Can you see? Just going to give it a curved shape. So if you want to know the measurements, at the down part I went up by 2 inches. At the upper part I came down by 2.5 inches just to give it this nice curve here. So I'm just going to cut it out like this. This is what our flounce looks like. So I'm going to place this on my fabric and cut out three more pieces of this, exactly three more pieces of this, because I'll be using one for the left and one for the right. And then I'll iron my gum stick to it and then show us the next thing to do. Okay, so for our flounce, I've cut the gun steel for all four of them. I have four pieces of the flounce. So this is going to be the main fabric, the one with the lace. You can see I've also laminated my lace on it. I used my hemming gun to press the lace and the satin together. This is what I have. I have two pieces. So you want to be very careful with this so that you don't have the same thing. You can see these are opposite each other. So one will be on the left and one will be on the right. You don't want to do the same thing. That's have it, let's say like this, having your lace on this part. If not, you're going to have the same thing. So I have two opposite directions. One will be for the left and one will be for the right. And like I said, I ironed my hard gum stick to it. And I did the same thing for the second one. And now these are my linings. For the lining, I also ironed hard gum stick to it. And then for this one, I ironed hard gum stick. But you can see that I have already stitched boning. So this boning is going to give it structure. So I'll use this one to show us how to sew the boning. All you need to do, this is my half-inch Regilene boning. I'll be stitching it close to the hem here. You see, I'll come in by half of an inch and then I'm going to stitch it round. Just keep taking it round. I'll stitch it all the way to this end. And then I'm going to place it now, right side facing right side. So let's use this one that I've done already to show us. I'll place them right side facing right side. So now this is the main fabric and this is the lining. I'll place them right side facing right side and then I'm going to stitch it round like this. I'll start from this point, from this straight point, I'll stitch it round and bring it out from here. So now because of this boning I have here, I won't be closing up this side. I'm going to tuck in this side with half of an inch. So I will show us how to do that. It will be too difficult to allow us to turn it inside out if we stitch this part because of the boning we have here. And this boning is to give us that nice structure. So I'll go and do all this and come back and show us the next thing. Okay, so I'm done sewing our structured flounce and you can see I turned it out from this opening. So it can be done two ways. You can decide to stitch this side and then create a small hole. But like I said, it's going to be really hard because of the boning we have inside. So this is what I'm going to do now. Can you see that I have ironed half inch? I've tucked in half inch. I've ironed half inch round. I just folded it in and then I used my pressing iron to hold it down. So you can decide to put your hemming gum in between it while you are ironing, or you can leave it the way I've left it. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to take this to my sewing machine and then top stitch on it. You need to tuck it in well and then top stitch it. So make sure that no part is fraying out. Just tuck it in well and then top stitch round, which is what I have done for this already. Can you see? It is very neat. No part is fraying out. This is our lace and it came out well. So I'm going to stitch it round. Okay? And then for the blouse, you can see that I have already stitched my zipper to the back, and I've also stitched the sleeves to the armhole. So this is my sewing allowance. Can you see? I've marked my sewing allowance on both sides. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch all the way down to the hem. I'll repeat the same thing on this side. Then I'll come back and show us how we'll be fixing this flounce to our blouse. The blouse, and I've also ironed my seam lines open, ironed my zipper, I wove the sleeves. Everything is coming out very beautiful. So this is what our blouse looks like on the right side. So I'm going to wear this on the mannequin so that I can show us how we'll be placing our flounce, our structured flounce. I also have this gold applique that we'll have at the middle here. So let's wear it on the mannequin so that I can show us how to create the structure that we want to have on the blouse. So this is the applique that we'll be placing. So first I'm going to turn this applique this way. So I'll pin it down first. So you see, I have it here at the middle. I'm going to use my needle and thread to tack all of them. So this is just me pinning so that I know the points where I'm going to tack. So, and then here is our flange. So this is the one that will be for this side. So you need to know which one will be for the other. So here, this is the one that will be for this side. Okay. So here is the midpoint. This is our center front here. I want to have one sitting like this as it just curves into the neckline. So first I'm going to pin this point here. And then I'll take it like this, all the way like midpoint of the armhole here. Point. Now I'll begin to bring it down like this. I'm trying to create this curved shape. I'm trying to replicate what is on the thumbnail. Okay? So I'll pin this point here. Now this is on the sleeve, and then I'm just going to fold this part. Just bring it this way. So okay, see? So this is another fold here. I'm going to also pin this point. All the points I'm pinning are the points that will be tacked. And you need to tack it very, very well. So after pinning this point, then next I'm going to fold this one. This is now going to be the last fold. So here this will get to the back here. Okay. So this is it. So we're basically going to tack here, tack it to the neckline, tack it here at this point, tack this point. Just follow the shape that I have here. Okay. So for here, it has to tack to the neckline so that it curves well. So then I'll bring in the second piece, and this is our second piece. For the second piece, it's going to start like this, just beside this applique I have here. I'm going to place it under the bust. It has to go under the bust like this. So first I'm going to pin the first one here. So I'm going to curve it now. Can you see how I'm curving it so that it sits exactly under the bust like this? And then I'll take it round. So I haven't pinned it. So I want to make sure that this one is sitting under the bust like this. And then I'm going to pin this point. And then I'm going to take it this way. You want to climb on top of the shoulder. And then I will also bring it like this. So you just want to create like a pleat. And the last one. And just create like a pleat this way. Can you see? So I'll pin this two at this point. So you need to take your time. You can see that I'm actually struggling with it because my flounce is quite thick. can see. So this is it here. So you can see. So when I'm tacking it, I'll tack it well because my pin will not hold it firm. This is what I want to achieve this way. So this is basically it for this. And see, I'm going to create a fold here too and tack it well. So I'll take it off from the mannequin and tack it with my needle and thread. Then I'll show us what it looks like after tacking it. Okay, so this is the final outcome of our blouse. Can you see how beautiful it came out? I actually decided to fix a brooch here instead of using the applique I showed us. I actually like the effect of the brooch more than the applique. So it came out really beautiful. Can you see how the structure is sitting? Very beautiful and structured. So our boning is what is helping this structure stand really well. So you can see that you can actually curve it the way you want it to be. You can bend your boning to any shape. And this is what it looks like here on this side. And you see, everything came out very beautiful. I love the outcome of this blouse. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you also enjoyed watching this video.
So, if you found value in this video, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe and also put on your notification bell. This will actually help you to receive a notification every time I upload a new video. Feel free to share this video, like this video, leave a comment if you have any. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.